3 key tips to a crushing forehand drive in pickleball without sacrificing control. If you watch pickleball players returning a serve or hitting a drive from the baseline, you'll notice most people are hitting forehands rather than backhands. This does not occur because the server hits the ball consistently to the forehand side. In fact, most servers believe it as an advantage to place the ball on the backhand side because many players are not as comfortable hitting from there. So the returner will run around their backhand and hit a forehand. Hello and welcome to Pro Pickleball Media, your #1 spot for all pickleball content. Our channel is dedicated to the fastest growing sport in the US, and we cover all fun and exciting things related to pickleball. So if you love pickleball and want to learn more about it, just take a second to subscribe and press the bell icon so you don't miss any of our recent videos. In today's video, we're going to talk about the forehand ground stroke in pickleball, along with the key tips to master it without losing control. Make sure to stick around to the end of this video where we will reveal the best ways to identify which type of stroke, i.e. forehand or backhand, is better, more suitable for your game in pickleball. Now let's get right into the video. What is a forehand ground stroke? The majority of players find the forehand ground stroke to be the most natural and comfortable shot to use between the baseline and the middle of the court. A ground stroke is merely making contact with a ball after it has bounced, which is something that happens frequently when players are far back on the court. The forehand is a more comfortable shot for many players since it's played on the stronger side of the body, which is more natural. Because the forehand ground stroke is so typical, all players should become proficient in the fundamental approaches. The body position and motion involved in a forehand ground stroke are extremely similar to those involved in the service motion. Your upper torso should rotate so that the target is facing the shoulder you have in front of you. You need to transfer your weight to the foot behind you. During the backswing of the stroke, your paddle should be brought back. Concurrently with the motion of the paddle coming closer to the ball, you should move your weight forward onto your front foot. Your paddle stroke ought to continue all the way across your body. Every single one of these actions is exactly the same as the service motion. Difference between a serve and a ground stroke. The fact you do not have any control over the ball before making contact is the fundamental characteristic that differentiates a serve from a ground stroke. The player has complete control over the ball and its position relative to the paddle when they're serving. When an opponent forces you to shift or adjust to the height of the bounce, you no longer have any control over the situation. A set of rules with fewer restrictions can help mitigate the negative effects of this loss of control. The 3 serving regulations that govern the motion of the paddle as it is being served, downward motion, paddle head below the wrist, and contact below the waist, do not apply. As a result, there's a greater degree of leeway to change the position of the ball. Let's run over the different steps of taking the photo. Now, before we move ahead to talk about more game-changing pickleball tips, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to our channel so that we can keep bringing more informative pickleball content to you. Your little contribution means a lot for us. Best tips for a forehand serve. When executing your forehand drive, ensure that it is compact. Create a tiny C motion backwards. It shouldn't rise too high or go too far or to the side when you backswing. Always have it close by. The concept of equilibrium is another favorite topic of ours. When making a forehand swing, that is absolutely crucial. When you step in, you want to make sure you're making a difference. If you like to hit from a more open posture, do so while maintaining a stable base. You need to stoop to a low position. Knee bending is therefore an essential component. Be careful not to smack the ball too hard. It's your poise, the fact that you're not hitting the ball squarely, that are generating all the force. If you overextend yourself or strike the frame, you won't locate a clean drive. In that case, you're missing the mark. This means making a brief touch and short backswing. Keep your point of contact and fall through out in the open, where you can see them. You're continuing your swing in a forward direction towards the goal. You should be able to forehand drive better after reading those recommendations. Try to maintain a steady equilibrium. Keep your backswing brief. Be sure to keep your eyes on the ball while it's in the sweet spot. When taking any shot, you should begin from the ready position, which is often the one outlined in the ready position from mid-court and displayed in frame 1 of the previous image. As soon as you become aware that you need to use your forehand, the very first thing you should do is bring the paddle around into the backswing position, as seen in the second picture in the previous section. Carry out these steps before proceeding to the ball. The early preparation of the paddle is an essential component of the shot. By bringing the paddle back, you should be able to get your body into the correct starting position, which involves placing your weight on your back foot and twisting your body so that your front shoulder points in the direction of the target. When you bring the paddle back to your position, it should be at or below waist level. During the stroke, you'll move your weight from your back foot to your front foot. Depending on the time and the movement of the ball, you may or may not take a step forward with your foot as well. The preceding frames 3 and 4 indicate the step as well as the adjustments in weight. It's important that the forward swing of the paddle and the shifting of your weight happen at the same time. It is reasonable to expect that the combination of swing speed and the inertia of the weight will be adequate to drive the ball to the depth that you want your shot to be. The paddle should be held perpendicular to the court in order to ensure that the ball clears the net at a height at which the player is most at ease. An alternative strategy would be to open the face of your paddle by angling the top of it ever so slightly backwards. This would result in the ball being struck in an upward arc. In order to hit low balls with either paddle position, you will need to get low by bending your knees and cocking your paddle, which means bending your wrist in such a way that the paddle face remains higher than your wrist. Your eye should be fixed only on the ball from the moment it is hit by your competitor, until you are in the middle of your follow-through after making contact with the ball. This time period spans from the moment the ball is hit until you are in the middle of your follow-through. Taking your eyes off the ball is the single most important factor that contributes to a bad shot. Take note of the player's eyes in the image that can be found below. They remain on the ball long after the initial touch has been made. As depicted in frame 4 of the previous image gallery, the contact point for your shot should be in front of your torso and parallel to the knee or foot that is in front of you. As depicted in frame 5 of the previous image gallery, the follow-through of the paddle should continue past the point at which it makes contact and towards the target before continuing across the body and above the shoulder. The following image provides a visual representation of the general contact point. The angle causes it to appear somewhat distorted, giving the impression that it's further in front than it actually is. As depicted in frame 4 of the previous image gallery, the contact point for your shot should be in front of your torso and parallel to the knee or foot that is in front of you. As depicted in frame 5 of the previous image gallery, the follow-through of the paddle should continue past the point at which it makes contact and towards the target before continuing across the body and above the shoulder. The following image provides a visual representation of the general contact point. The angle causes it to appear somewhat distorted, giving the impression that it's further in front than it actually is. Pickleball is a sport in which players are required to be able to run across their backhand in order to hit a forehand. This ability is essential to the sport. This happens for two different reasons. You have the time to get in a position to hit your forehand even if the ball is heading towards the backhand side of the court, because the pickleball court is much smaller than a tennis court. This, in conjunction with the speed of the serve, gives you the opportunity to switch from smacking a backhand to a forehand in the necessary amount of time. If I had to speculate, I'd say that this will change as people play at higher levels and serve with more aggression, because then you won't have time to run around your backhand. But for the time being, it would be more beneficial to focus on improving your forehand hitting if you have the time and feel more comfortable doing so. So, do you prefer a forehand serve or a backhand serve in pickleball? Tell us in the comments. Also, don't forget to like this video and share it with your fellow picklers. Also, if you love pickleball, then make sure to watch this next video on our channel. Thanks for watching. Bye.